Good morning, Ethos.
Morning.
How's everybody today?
Heyo.
How was your week? A little bit of this, a little bit of that? Good? Awesome. Did you know that Ethos is a place where you can be, belong, and become? So some of you have that. You've got it figured out. I was thinking about it this morning. What is it? What is the word be? What is it to be? Are you a doer bee? A busy bee? Are you someone who just wants to be left? Be left alone? But for me, sometimes I just need to be. I just need to be. And in that, I feel that I belong to my environment, to others, and it gives me a sense of belonging while I'm in that process of just being. I become one with nature, one with my friends, family, maybe someone who's hurting, I feel for them. And then I can become my potential. I can become who I really am inside. I can become comfortable with myself and invite you all in, and we can invite each other in to become closer. Thank you. Today, we're going to be having Tony share with us with cohesion becoming a part of. We have some birthdays. We have Martha C., Christy O., and Kim D. Can we give them a big round of applause? Happy birthday. Awesome. We celebrate you. And if you're having a birthday this month, happy birthday to you. This morning, I'd like to invite the amazing people that I am very enamored with when they come up and share their gifts and their talents that come naturally to them because they took the time to be, belong, and become. Will you please join us?
Good morning. Or I guess more like, what's up? Thank you, Pam, for your words. They're always so encouraging and soft and sweet, and you kind of just touch my soul in a certain way. And I was a little rowdy this morning, but you made me be still. So thank you for your presence and the gift of love that you have and that you share. So we all have wonderful attributes, all of us in every single way. And the cohesiveness with all our attributes is what keep bringing us, I think, back here and touching other people's lives out there. You want to start rocking out?
Yeah.
Every one of you know this song. Totally sing this with us, please. 25 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination. I realized quickly when I knew I should that the world was made up of this brotherhood of man, for whatever that means. And so I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head, and I'm feeling a little peculiar. And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I say, hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, yeah. I try? Oh my God, do I try? I try all the time in this institution, and I pray. Oh my God, do I pray? I pray every single day for revelation. And so I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head. And I'm feeling a little peculiar. And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I say, hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, yeah. I said, hey, what's going on? And I say, hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, yeah. I said, hey, what's going on? And I say, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah. I said, hey, what's going on? Again. And I say, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah. I said, hey, what's going on? La, 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 hey, Jude. La, 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 hey, Jude, what's going on? La, 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 hey, Jude. Mm, mm, mm. 25 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination. Thank you for singing with us. Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Oh, Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. War is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Oh, picket lines, brother, and picket signs, brother, don't punish me, brother, brutality
reality. Brother, come on, talk to me. Brother, so you can't see. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I tell you, what's going on? Everybody thinks we're wrong. Ooh, they judge us simply 'cause our hair is long. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Oh, picket lines, sister, and picket signs. Sister, don't punish me. Sister, with brutality. Sister, come on, talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Oh, what's going on? I'll tell you what's going on.
Thank you, guys.
I don't know how you hit those notes for that long. That was nice. How's everybody doing? Good. This is gonna be a fun one. How many of you have enjoyed Life According to the Scout thus far? Yeah. This has been kind of a new one, kind of a fun one. I wanted to start. I was gonna get a bunch of pieces of paper, and we're gonna do something similar. But I thought our group is tight enough that we can just kind of raise our hands for this one. And I thought this would be an interesting opportunity to share. I had a question about this, or I had a thought about this as we've been moving through this series, Life According to Scout. Sound like a plan? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about all the different topics we covered. We went everything from like violence, gun control, to how to deal with conflict. We went through all of those different topics. And so I'm curious, we even talked about what's sacred, what's holy, all of those different discussions. And it was interesting to hear so many different perspectives. So right now, anyone have a perspective or maybe even a question you'd like to pose to the group as stuff kind of came up for you? Anybody? Yep.
Don't assume anything,
Don't assume anything.
even though I still will.
Okay, nice. Anyone have a moment of an assumption where you assumed something and you made an ass of you and me? Those moments every week. What causes us to assume? What causes us to just assume someone is thinking this?
Insecurity
Insecurity, okay, nice.
or narcissism.
Or narcissism, nice. Insecurity or narcissism will lead us there, that's good. Anyone else? Yep.
Old patterns of thinking, old experience, previous experiences.
Okay, nice. The old patterns we're used to kind of falling into. Good, okay, good. Anyone else?
Yeah, for me, it's laziness. I'm unwilling to be present for the person in front of me. I'd rather just believe what I want to believe.
Wow, oh, that's good. Laziness. I just don't care to look at your perspective. My perspective is all that matters. Yeah, laziness.
Self-protection.
Self-protection. Yeah, and again, all of us, I think, in this room have kind of fit into all of these, right? Self-protection. If I don't have to consider your point of view, then I'm safe with my own. My own doesn't have to change or shift. I can just be safe here. Good. All right. Interesting. Brooklyn agrees. Anyone else? Anything that popped up? How about the violence and the gun control thing? How many of you kind of sat with that for a little bit and you're like, man, I don't know what I think, or I thought about this. What about this? We just had 3 shootings, right? Just in the last couple of months, and the last 2 days, right, of last week, that was one after another. We talked about nonviolence. We talked about violence. We talked about its place, right? How do you feel after the shootings now? Anything shift for you?
Suspicious.
What do you mean suspicious?
The timing of the shootings and the fact that there were 3 and you did, or why they did it. It just seems suspicious to me,
Okay, gotcha.
like a programming.
Okay, got it. So you think there's something behind this? Okay, gotcha. Which there very well could be. Numb. Anyone else feeling numb to that? Oh, just another shooting. America has 200 plus mass shootings. The rest of the countries that have had mass shootings combined maybe add up to like 10 or something, I remember. We have 200 plus mass shootings just this year. And we hear that, and most of us are kind of like, well, okay, numb. Anyone else? Considering like the mass shootings we've just had in our discussion over violence. Do you still hold the same perspective you did in our discussion?
There's this huge comparison between. Can I pull a racial card? I'm going to anyway. Sorry. There's this thing around Facebook and on social media where they took a snapshot of how calmly this person was arrested that killed a bunch of people, opposed to a darker skinned person that's illegally possibly selling something or whatever it is, not killing anyone and just being brutally beaten. And I have a problem with that. It's not that I want the other person to be brutally beaten, it's just that we just need to be mindful of every situation equally across the board. And so I get angry with that.
So when you saw how they reprimanded people, the nation's response, you saw a racial inequality with responses. Okay, gotcha. All right. So what I found interesting was it took 30 seconds for them to respond, right? 30 seconds, and that was like, that's a long time. But they talked about how, wow, 30 seconds, but I thought, 30 seconds is a long time when someone has that kind of weapon just plowing people down. What does our nation do? How do we respond? How do we respond to that kind of violence? Do we keep our guns? Do we throw them all out, outlaw them? What do we do? How do we help a nation? Oh yeah, how do we help a nation with a violent tendency? What do we do? It's interesting. And I think what's fascinating is this discussion we've had over To Kill a Mockingbird. It kind of gets back at the root and the heart of it, right? Which is what Atticus is always saying. Look at the heart of the issue. Look at the heart of a person. When that changes, motives, intentions change. But how do you change people's hearts? That's a tough one.
Yeah, I talked with a couple of friends this week kind of about all that. And a few customers, and it's something where there used to be a time when right was right, wrong was wrong, it was pretty clear and cut, and there's consequences for it. But now that's fuzzy as far as what each person from one person to the next considers right and wrong, and where you draw the line. I mean, so as far as a foundation or a platform that's not really solid,
Yeah.
then it's really quicksand.
Right.
That's just my.
Ethics, morality. Yeah, there's a lot of grain stuff going on right now.
If you think about it, machine guns have been around since John Dillinger in the 1930s. People could buy them legally back then. Why weren't there mass shootings then?
Yeah, why were there not mass shootings in the 30s when people had machine guns then?
I'd like to bring up one thing that was kind of eye-opening for me. The fact that the 60%, the vast majority of gun violence in America are suicides.
Wow, 60% of shootings are suicides.
60% of gun violence and
Gun
gun
violence.
deaths are suicides. And so really you can't bring down gun violence in America without talking about that. And how can you help? It's like people who were there and in that place. And I heard one person make a very bold comment, but also I think a very enlightening one, is that that will always be a problem, and that will always be there as long as therapy is far more expensive than a gun.
Wow, therapy is more expensive than a gun. That's a fantastic point.
To that, it's really difficult for someone who has a feeling of hopelessness and helplessness and powerlessness to live, and especially in today's society where we're more separated and more judgmental, and they can, even in therapy, gain a lot more resentment and anger, and go reach for something that'll show their powerfulness and that they need to annihilate.
Yeah, good point. Our nation right now, I keep reading all these different articles about we're a very divided nation, more so than ever, maybe. Potentially that could be argued. And it's racial, it's religious, it's so many different elements, all kind of thrown together. And the question is, how do you unite a group of people? Do you continue a rhetoric of hate, or do you shift? What do our politicians do with this? Well, it's really fascinating to me. What I've seen is most of them want to just give you like a silver bullet, right? That's the worst analogy ever, Tony. They want to give you a one solution, right? Here's my one solution. Here's how it's going to fix it, right? The Band-Aid. And typically, they're doing that to get reelected, right? But you don't hear too many people saying, this is a multifaceted thing. We're going to do this, 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 this. They don't have a plan. They're just kind of like, we're going to take the guns away. No, we're going to protect the NRA until death. You don't have too much in the middle, like actually coming up with a really interesting plan. And this is where, again, I've really appreciated this movie because it's caused me to kind of shift a little bit. What's the heart of a person until you walk in their shoes? How does a nation so divided, how do we learn to walk in each other's shoes? The person that's so angry and hateful, filled with hate, why are they there, right? All interesting questions to consider. Anyone else kind of rolling around with the idea of what's sacred, what's sacred and what's not, right? Why can't I think of the word here, sacred and secular? I couldn't think of the word secular. Anyone have that kind of rolling around in their mind the last couple of weeks? What's sacred, what's secular? Or maybe has it kind of come together as one? What do you think? What's sacred? Eminem is secular. Mercy Me is definitely spiritual, right? One is uplifting, the other is not. One is good, one is bad. One is worldly, one is heavenly. That kind of thing.
I think it's all subjective.
It's all subjective. Tell me why.
To some people, Eminem may be sanctified, or
Right.
I mean, they may look to Eminem to give them because they relate. They were in that.
Eminem brings them hope.
It brings them hope. It uplifts them because they were in that situation and they can relate. So I mean, at the root of everything, it depends on each individual person. If we're talking from a Christian person, everything is not secular. Everything is sacred.
Okay.
Whether it come from a secular, from somebody else, they're doing it as a secular form of music or whatever it is. But you, as a Christian, are looking at it through Christian eyes or through a Christian faith. Everything is sacred. It's all creation. It's all cohesiveness. It's all live together and kumbaya. And, you know what I mean? So I mean, I think it's really all subjective to the person. But
Good.
At the core of our Christian belief, everything is sacred.
I love the idea everything is sacred, even your anger,
Right.
if it's directed toward restoration. Should you be angry when you hear about children being trafficked? If you weren't angry, if you were just like, God does things for a reason. Holy crap. That sounds pretty gross, right?
You make a good point right there. Sorry, because that finishes actually what I was trying to say. on the other part. But we make things secular when it's to our advantage. The biggest thing is, oh, the devil is working in me. The devil's not working in you. You chose to do that.
Okay. The devil gets a whole lot of credit for actions we did or someone else did. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think it's one thing is like identifying something like you said that brings out anger in you that you don't like, right? Or you don't believe in, right? That's another thing to, at least for me, that it rocks your faith or rocks your world. I mean, what's your foundation in? The circumstances around you, or is it in God?
Right.
Is it in your faith when you believe in Him, or is it in every circumstance? Otherwise, your journey is going to be like this, based upon anything that happens around you.
Your emotions. Yeah, if it's based on that, you're just up and down. Yeah, that's fun. Remember that moment when Jesus turns over a bunch of tables and he's like whipping the cattle out? By the way, how would you move a bunch of cattle if you didn't have a whip? Yeah, well, good luck, right? So, like, this is not Jesus being violent toward animals. So, like, PETA, like, get a grip. But there is anger there. He's flipping tables. He's angry. What happened is wrong, and not that it's literally violent, but it's there's forcible movement going on. Yeah, it's aggressive. What do you do with your anger, right? Anger could be a holy thing because it's all sacred. Interesting. Anyone else? Any other thoughts on that before we continue?
The holy versus sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Well, music today is super secular in other places, but I found it extremely sacred and beautiful, and there was words within it that resonated with just everyday life.
I remember Brett and I did a song by Linkin Park at a church service once,
I remember that.
and it was called Numb. I've become so numb. We did that, and we were just like belting it out, and it was almost like gritty. And I remember getting emails the next week,
Of course
and it was, "How dare you play such secular music?" And then it was funny. They said, "At least it was in the fellowship hall, and not in the sanctuary," because the sanctuary is where holy happens. The fellowship hall, well, who knows? But again, like, I always find it fascinating. Yeah, was wearing a tie. No, but maybe that had changed. Yeah.
It's funny that you say those two things back to back right there, because I struggle with that passage too a lot, because we all expect Jesus to be perfect. And like, well, here's a moment he's not perfect. How do I deal with that? Right. So then you start to try and justify, and a lot of times I say, oh, well, he's human and divine. So that's his human side, right, coming out of him. And then I thought about it again, and I'm like, wait a minute. Jesus, in his whole life, even as a kid, he never slipped up anywhere. He always chose exactly what he was going to do for a purpose. You know, he did stuff for a purpose. Okay, I have a crowd around me. Okay, now I'm going to feed everybody so they can see, you know, this. Oh, now I have that. Okay, now this is going to happen. So I think he chose at that point to draw the attention there. And it works both ways. So, first of all, he can be showing those people the look, because they see him such as a divine person, like, oh, we'll never be like you, you're the God, you're the Messiah. But he's showing, wow, here's my human side. You know, you can mess up and then still be choosing the right thing. And at the same time, he's showing the message to the vendors and all those guys that were selling stuff in the sanctuary. This stuff shouldn't happen here.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah. And anger can be an engine to bring good. If it's, again, I should be angry about certain things that should cause me to be angry. The minute we stop being angry about mass shootings, yeah, we're numb. We're, right. If the mass shootings don't cause you to just be frustrated, sad, all of that together, you know we're in a pretty bad place. That's where things have to shift. Any other thoughts on this as we move forward to Kill a Mockingbird? Any other comments? We're going to watch the movie later, and there's going to be a bunch of tacos, and we're just going to enjoy community. I'm so excited about that. Let me keep moving. I have something fun. I want to, at least for me, fun. I don't know what you'll think. But this is how I wanted to end this this discussion over To Kill a Mockingbird. It brought up some interesting things for me, because I saw some interesting concepts with gender role and power. And so let me ask you this. When you think of gender roles, right, maybe like 50 years ago, so let's get really cliche with gender roles for a moment. So when you think of the man, what gender roles, and again, some people in here might firmly believe in these, and that's fine too, but think of like the most extreme, like, oh yeah, man, here's the role that the man should play. Provider. Protector. The hunter. The one that works, makes the money. Makes the decisions of the household, yeah.
I'm getting sick over here.
Does not do housework. A man will not stand in the kitchen. Yeah, a man will not be in the kitchen, do dishes. No, that does not cook. Men do not cook. No, we bring the meat, you cook it, right? Right? Okay, good. So there's some gender roles, and again, we're going extreme, the kind of cliche ones. Anything else that you might throw in for the man?
Changes the tire.
Changes the tire, yeah, okay. All right. Opens the jars, okay. Does the yard work. Politics is a man's work. Executive, any kind of work executively, that's going to be driven by men.
Going fishing, not talking.
Okay, good. All right, so now, men do not share emotions.
Does not show affection to his kids.
Okay, good. A real man does not show affection to children. Like children go to their play. You go to your mom for that. You want a hug? Go to mom. You want to talk about your feelings? Go to mom. Right? Yeah, those are different gender roles some people grew up with.
Cry.
Does not cry. A real man doesn't cry. Yeah, they hold it in.
Does sports.
Sports, yeah. If a man does not do sports, you're not a man.
Spiritual leader.
The spiritual head, the spiritual leader of the household. Yeah, good.
And they're the
Patriarch.
Men are the clergy.
Men are the clergy. Yeah. They are the head. They're the pastors. They're the clergymen. They're the bishops. That's any woman. No, like that's breaking the role. That's breaking the mold. Anyone feeling like you're like a little bit frustrated hearing this right now? Okay. Woman, give me some gender roles that you remember hearing or maybe even grew up with. When you think of the woman, what roles should she play?
Secretary.
The secretary. Okay, good. Right, yeah, the secretary. The what? The housewife. Yeah, the woman does the dishes, and she enjoys it. The woman is submissive. Yeah, when decisions come about, when the man says this, the woman submits. Right? They say, okay, well, you said it, and that's how it works. Okay, caretaker, babysitter of kids and the man. Yeah, you are taking care of everybody. Okay, what else? What other roles? The woman. How about a career? Does a woman have a career? Secretary. No. Yeah, if they have a career, it's a secretary, maybe flight attendant, nurse, maybe a nurse. Yeah.
There's another one that we talked about in our women's group, which she is the object of sexuality.
Okay.
Is the object.
Good. And yeah, she's the object of sexuality. She is the prize.
Wow,
That you chase down. She's the prize you chase down. Once you get it, awesome, right? And you got it, the prize. I'm listening about this, a woman's purity, right? A woman, her worth is in her purity before marriage, right?
Tony, wouldn't you also say that there's, to make your point, there's far more things that a woman, in the cliched sense that you're talking about, that women aren't rather than are. Like they're not the sports people. They're not, there's so many things that they're not and that they weren't. There was like, what are you doing riding? And I mean, my mom had told me, like I used to have a maid, black lady take care of me when I was like 5. And she would go to take her home, and she would sit in the back seat. And she's like, Marguerite, get up in the front seat. And she goes, no, the last thing they need to do is see two women driving in the front seat.
Wow. The last thing I need to do is see two women driving in the front seat.
And just,
Yeah, female drivers. You still hear that sometimes, right? Oh, those female drivers. Not just female drivers, they're Southern California female drivers. Right? Barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. These are all roles that I think many we've heard those roles. Some of us maybe watched mom and dad play out some of those roles, or grandparents. Yeah, women couldn't vote because why would you? That's a man's job, right? Men deal with politics. Women don't. Why would you want to vote?
I have one more. My mama told me she got an apartment in 1970. They had to have a man co-sign for. She had a job.
Wow.
She had salary.
Your mom could afford her own apartment, but had to have a male co-sign.
Fully had paychecks and was working and a good job in the Walter Reed Medical Center, and they made her have a male co-signer on the lease. 1970.
So the house really wasn't owned by her fully.
To co-sign an apartment.
Amazing.
It wasn't even like you could default and then the house go. It was an apartment.
It was an apartment. Wow.
So incapable of making good decisions.
Okay, yeah.
Smart.
Incapable.
That's right.
Yeah. Got it. Smart. Yeah, not as witty or smart. Needs protection of the man. Those kind of things. How do you feel hearing these roles brought up? Let me ask the men first. Either the male or the female roles. Just talk to me. How does this land for you? Hearing these roles, and we went extreme, obviously. We went pretty extreme on either side. But how does it make you as a man kind of hear that, feel as you hear that?
I just think these are rules that were made up to compensate for their lack of confidence, because it's not the fact that, I guarantee you that pick any time era, they didn't believe, they had to have seen a girl that was able to do what they were doing. They had to see a girl that was physically able to do certain stuff, maybe not all, but there's certain ones that stand out. And these are made by people even today, like they were back in Adam and Eve days, that they didn't want them to do that, so they made the rules that they wouldn't be able to do it, so that it wouldn't demasculate them or diminish their abilities. Because if somebody is doing what they're doing, oh well, a woman could do it, you know. So they wanted to feel like
to keep control, to keep power.
They were the pastor, they were the Pharisee, they were the whatever, to keep the power with them, to show like, look to me for guidance. Yeah. They didn't want the woman to feel like that, or else anybody can take my spot, and that is the case. Anybody can do anything. Because
it hasn't been until this century really when roles have started to be questioned. Here in America, the roles have been questioned, and it's caused a lot of movement and change and frustration, just the questioning of it.
That's not 100% true. If you study the Civil War, which I have, the roles were changing drastically. Clara Barton, starting the Red Cross, and
true.
A woman being outside by herself had to go with a man because otherwise it could be perceived she was a prostitute. So they were questioning things in the 1860s. It's just that we don't really know history as much, so we kind of look at our situation as being the most unique ever.
So we'll say the last 250 years. I'll give you that. 250 years.
It changed a lot.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Women's roles of taking charge, and because the men were dead, so they had to work in the fields.
And think about that. 250 years is a blip compared to the history of mankind, right?
Humankind.
Which is changing. That phrase is actually changing.
You'd be surprised at how much because he's absolutely right. History is rife with stories like that of women taking on masculine roles or taking charge, and you'd be surprised at how much of history is suppressed.
How much is told and hidden? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Forgotten.
Yeah. To answer the question, it kind of makes me feel like you weren't able to be yourself, or you fully you, because you got to fit in these molds.
You had to fit in the mold, either as a man or woman. They had to fit into a mold that may not have been fully them. That's frustrating.
I think if you, like what you said there, I think that if you look at that, so in this case, the female as being less than, right? Or they're like secondary citizen, or they're just here to do this purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They're not their own individual person with
Apart from the man.
apart from the man.
Yeah.
They're their own complete person on their own, and they come to offer us. There's a lot of things that Kim does better than I do, right? But I mean,
We know.
I think,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm totally messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
I don't think if you have that mentality
Right.
or that thinking, then you will act according to that, or you'll set up parameters and laws
Society's
that
mores.
don't even make sense.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah, if I think that that person is nothing without me, holy smokes. Yeah, I mean, we have issue.
I mean, even that thinking that, oh, movements were happening back then, you know, roles were changing. I mean, that's what this is all about, because there are no gender roles. I mean, just thinking, oh, gender roles were changing way back then. No, people were just doing something that was perceived as not that gender. It was never Betty would have never been incapable of climbing Mount Everest. She just chose not to, or somebody told her you couldn't do it, you know. I do that all the time to my daughters, and we were talking last night, Danielle brought something up. I like to cook by myself. My wife and I make a great team. She loves to set up the table, decorate, not because that's our roles, but that's her talent. She loves to decorate. I hate to decorate. I'll put a paper plate and here you go, just eat on a paper plate. I'll serve you creme brulee and a freaking little I don't care, it's the food that matters to me. Her, she'll put flowers around, and so that's her thing. Me, I like to cook by myself. People ask me, how can I help? Stay out of the kitchen, you know? But at the same time, my daughter, who loves to cook, is so interested to cook, brings her little stool over, can I help you, can I help you, every single day. And I say, yeah, sure, come here, help me, yeah, I love it. I end up doing 99% of it because I'm not letting her. She starts to cut, oh no, here, just let me cut it, and I'll cut it. So I'm holding her back. I'm holding her back, you know? It's not the role, it's not that she's not capable, I'm sure she will, but I'm holding her back. And just real quick, it goes the other way too, it goes both ways. So many times now, we've been accustomed to doing things a certain way, or thinking a certain way. I work at the airport. Every day, I see guys coming in by themselves with like a baby, or like, and what's your first instinct? Oh my gosh, how's he gonna make it on that airplane all the way to where he's going?
And that's his thought too, probably. That's my thought. Right.
And that's coming from somebody who did more than I believe most guys do for their babies, for their kids. That's coming from me, and I'm still thinking like, oh man, he's gonna fly by himself, you know. So I mean, I think we just make ourselves follow.
I wish you hadn't given that illustration. Good. Yeah, and again, like, because now there's an expectation. Yeah, they're really good. How about, can we hear from the ladies now? You heard the different roles. How did that make you feel to hear those? Maybe some of you grew up with those. Some of you are fighting those with certain groups or whatever. How did that feel to hear, well, here's what a woman should be doing. Here's what a man. Let me know.
Some of it was nauseating to me because...
It was nauseating.
Some of it was. A lot of it was understandable and needs to continue to happen in a way of cooperation with each individual. But that limited thinking of people not being capable, either male or female, that's got to go, right? But the part is interesting to me that there's been a scientific study, a very good scientific study, showing that the male species tends to be more thing-oriented, task-oriented, and the female species tends to be more people and relationship-oriented, and that's something innate in each one that they cannot get out of. Now, of course, there's, you know, those anomalies in those, areas where a woman would be better as an engineer, that particular woman, the way she thinks in her brain or whatever. But that fascinates me. With science, the more information we have now, because back then we were limited in so many ways. Typically with the way that things were coming down the pike, with this is what the roles are. You don't get out of that role. You're limited. You can't do this and that. But now that more awareness, more studies, more understanding is coming, I think now it's more acceptable to be, maybe I want to wink at my guy and have him open my jar for me.
Right. Or I want to open it myself, or I can. It's a choice now. It's not a role.
Masculinity. Maybe I want to celebrate that masculinity. So
Nice. And it's also interesting too. Like species evolve and they shift and they change, and we are not one that we're going to do the same. We change. We evolve. We're a species. And so to see a species continue to evolve and even roles and things is pretty interesting to know, like, well, that's kind of normal. That's part of like a process. But yeah.
So my take was, I was raised Catholic, as I mentioned before, and one of my last thesis that I did when I graduated from UCI was the women's role in the Catholic Church. Because I was very defiant to say absolutely women should be priests, absolutely women should be in leadership, pastoral positions. So I went with my Monsignor. He was very warm and individual. He said, clearly, Claudia, I see your viewpoints. Fortunately, it's been like this for many, many years. It's not going to change overnight, but you have a choice. I said, you know what, you're right. I do have a choice. I don't have to conform to those things that make me unhappy. So I think a lot of women are stepping out and getting uncomfortable so we can challenge the status quo and say, we can do this.
Right. Yeah, there will never be a female CEO unless, of course, a female says, I'm going to work up in the lab. I'm going to work my way into it, and I'm going to be a CEO. And they do, and they prosper. Yeah. But it has to take that shift, that change, that willingness to step out of molds that were created. Yeah, good. Anyone else?
Something we actually didn't touch on is women are too emotional. We're incapable of being.
Oh, yeah. Women are way too emotional. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can speak for myself.
How you feel about that?
No, it's
Women are too emotional. Yeah, you hear people say that.
there's truth to it, but I've seen emotional men. I mean, erratic, emotional men that don't know anything at that moment, and we all go through it. We're all human. But that it made me nauseous too. It made me like, who the hell is going to tell me I cannot do what? I'm sorry. What? Yeah, so very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
I think for me the major thing that I heard out of all that was it was an effort to feel better about themselves, therefore I must control.
Got it.
And since a child, I've always bucked at that. Any authority figure that believes that they should control me, no matter how young I was, I would always come against that. So it was an innate, inborn, so therefore doing women's ministry has been awesome.
Nice.
Because it's given me the opportunity to say, it's not about that. And to not take it to the whole other extreme. Which
To be
is
like a
now-
hater of all men.
Yeah, now God can't be a man, now men have no use, now they're all asses, they're all, whatever. I don't go that end either.
Nice.
So to come to a balance on it, just like with guns, what is the balance on it?
Good.
What's the balance?
That's
I
hard.
like that.
Balance is always what's
I'm
hard.
trying to think of how to sum up what you just said, but that's good. That's fantastic. Yeah, there needs to be, instead of totally demoralizing the men, how about bringing it back to the middle and saying, where's the balance? How do we take from both sides? And again, this man may be more emotional than this woman. This woman might be like concrete, hardcore, like, I don't cry. Like, oh, yeah, but this person's just a weepy mess, this guy. And so, yeah, the role that they are, like who the person they are, they bring that to the table and totally shifts what society in the past has said, these are the roles you fit. I wanted to share with you a couple different perspectives, because I'm going to share with you people who felt roles were important and people who felt maybe they should be tossed out. This is the writer of The Shack. How many of you have read The Shack? He, when asked about should women be submissive to men, It might shock you. He said, submission is not about authority. It's not about obedience. It is all about relationships of love and respect. Continuing on with the article, he did say women should submit to men in a biblical relationship, but there should be love and respect as they do. So that was his perspective. Some of you are all of a sudden not cheering for Shaq anymore. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Rick Warren said, you cannot fulfill God's purposes for your life while focusing on your own plans. We have roles for a reason. He felt that some of those roles were important and should be continued. Flip side, you have Gandhi. Gandhi said this, and I thought this was really interesting. To call woman the weaker sex is libel, again, a false statement. It is man's injustice to woman. If by strength is meant brute strength, then indeed the woman is less brute than man. If by strength is meant moral power, then woman is immeasurably man's superior. Has she not greater intuition? Is she not more self-sacrificing? Has she not greater powers of endurance? Has she not greater courage? Without her, man could not be. If nonviolence is the law of our being, the future is with woman. Who can make a more effective appeal to the heart than woman? I found that interesting. Again, you can see they're all kind of taking a stance, right? Like he's very much going on that side now. This is Cherise Sinclair. Some of you have read some of her romance novels, maybe? Or just the oddball weird guy up here. So she's a writer, and she says this about the roles and women being submissive. She says, it's hard for an educated woman to turn her head off. That's part of the joy of being a submissive. None of the decisions are yours. When you can't refuse anything and can't even move, those voices in your head go silent. All you can do and all you are permitted to do is feel. Interesting take. And again, I think it's fascinating to look at these different perspectives, and I give you all different perspectives just to give you something to chew on. Here is something that someone posted on Facebook. I found it really interesting, and in fact, I couldn't find the exact one. The other one was a 4-tiered umbrella. These are 3-tiered, and so the children were the lowest umbrella, and their role, of course, was to be submissive to mom and dad and God. And so, first off, I just thought it was interesting. Can you imagine, let's take this very literally. Imagine holding an umbrella that is 4-tiered in the pouring rain. How helpful is that umbrella going to be keeping you from getting wet? Why would this not work in a very literal way? You'd get pretty wet, it would drip. The very metaphor, some of you are laughing. Why are you laughing about this metaphor? Okay. All right, it's a bit asinine. I will tell you, when I made a comment to the person who posted it, I got just attacked by, I feel like, the conservatives of the world. They just poured it on. But I just offered a question about the thing. I said, I'm not even sure that the literal umbrella would work, let alone the symbolic one. But they didn't find that very funny. But oh yes, very much. And so the two perspectives here, and I'm just going to say it again. The one says this: Jesus is the top umbrella, and of course instructs, empowers, and guides the husband. And then the wife is guided by the husband, who is protecting and providing for the family. I look over here, and Ted is just like, my God, what did I had so many other things I could have been doing today, and this is where I am. I promise I'm going somewhere, Ted. Don't lose faith. Good. The husband fulfills the will of God, right? And so that's that tier. And then underneath the husband, children and household in order. That's kind of the woman's place. And again, this is the right order. And so this person firmly believed that the wrong order, the perverted order, is Satan on top. And what Satan does is he perverts and undermines the family. And so if the perverted upside down umbrella thing, 4-tiered, would be the woman next. And so the woman who allows Satan access to the children disempowers her husband. And then below that, the husband, he becomes the household kind of, he's supposed to keep the household in order, but of course men can't do that, right? So it's in disorder, and the will of God is unfulfilled. So how do you feel with this this interesting umbrella metaphor for family roles?
It is making my blood boil.
It's making your blood boil. Why?
Can I just say, because I've seen too many spiritual leaders use religious abuse as a way to manipulate people into whatever it is they think, and it's their interpretation of the word.
Their interpretation.
Their interpretation of it. So, therefore, I must use fear, manipulation to cause those people to line up the way they're supposed to.
Right.
Because this is how it is going to be.
Can you imagine being the female CEO of a company whose husband stays at home and does stuff with the kiddos, seeing the right side, that this is the will of God, that she is actually falling into Satan's plans, and she is part of the, this whole evil, diabolical way of ruining family. Can you imagine how that would make her feel? It's interesting, but many people feel that this is a very legitimate understanding of the role of a family.
I'd be very curious to ask this person who apparently posted this, on...
Just go to my Facebook and scroll, you'll find them, I'm sure. Be nice.
Women incapable of having a relationship with Christ.
Right.
Like,
Good point.
are they incapable of that? Because at this point, maybe they're wasting their Sabbath. Maybe they could be, doing something with that time. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit fired up now.
Got it. All right, good.
To piggyback on what Kim was saying, I think it's just more disturbing than that, because that's someone's opinion, which is fine, but it's the condemnation of your disagreeing with it, which is just simply representative of the larger picture, which is the movie, rigid ideology, and refusing to see another person's point of view, or even acknowledge that there could be another way, meaning maybe this woman can do a job that's a CEO, or maybe there is Tony's way is correct. It's being a slave to an ideology in the face of opposing truths that could exist, but you don't even want to consider that there's a possibility that there's another truth out there. So it's a rejection of information and of other possibilities, which is what he says. It's a way of manipulating power, and it goes all through the history of time.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is it kind of hurts both sides. Like, there are many women that are very happy to be home and taking care of the kids, and that's a role they want, and it's a role they enjoy, and beautiful. But then to tell them what you're doing is the only way, holy smokes, then you get into some really interesting things. But to say that's an opinion, there are different perspectives. It's kind of a little healthier.
Depending on the self-esteem or the confidence that people walk into the marriage with. For example, I was willing and happy to be the stay-at-home mom, and yet be nice, Pam. The role that I took on, I did not feel was a role of any stature whatsoever. Equality in my deep heart, in my mind, because I was insecure, or I didn't know the value of that. I couldn't see the value, because I couldn't see the value of myself. And that didn't get verbalized for me. And so then I started usurping power for myself and disempowering possibly my husband, but then possibly he didn't come into the marriage with that sense of self-value and worth also. So then when I started becoming the personality I was meant to be, which is more of an outgoing, strong personality,
right.
His more quiet personality type may have allowed me to disempower him.
I love what Pam just said, because sometimes if certain people are pushed in a certain role, when that person begins to find themselves or find power, instead of the relationship becoming one or a partnership, it's a war. Right? Like, it's a war. One person might outgrow the other, or one person, before you know it, they're both just grappling for power. It can potentially become, rather than a partnership, a war. Can I? Yes.
No, I was just going to say the sad reality is that these gender roles and this hierarchical structure that we follow or that we set or that's portrayed right here in this umbrella situation stems from a Christian belief. You know, it's the Christians that perpetuate this. I mean,
and let me
and the literalism from what they take out of the Bible. I'll just real quick example, the Adam and Eve story. Oh, God created Adam, and then Eve came after Adam, so she has to follow him. But reality is, every man after that came out of the next Eve, you know. I mean, there's no Adam's going to push out the next guy. So, I mean, it's very Christian.
And let me share with you, here's the majority of this is the text that is often used, and that's what I wanted to share with you. And I'm just kind of warming up here. But here's the text, Ephesians 5:22 through 33. This is the text that most will go to talk about these role, this model, the umbrella, all of these different things. This is where it came from. And so it says, wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Take that very literally. Yeah, women should submit. And men are the head. Now, when you read those words right now, we get some ideas in our culture today of submission as well as the head, right? Submission in our culture today would be, what would you say if I said, submit, Lewis, now?
Did you see his face?
Yeah, he literally like tensed when I said it. Just submit. Like, what do you think when you hear that? Submit. What? Give in. What else? Bow down. Obey. Okay. Yeah, let me have my way, because my way is the way. Submit, weakling. Right? Submit. Here's the interesting thing about the word, because again, words are important when you're interpreting a text that is thousands and thousands of years old, right? You have to interpret it. You have to actually look at what the words meant, what the context was, what the culture was. Here's the interesting thing. Submit, here's the Greek word for it, hupasatomai. It was a military term, submit. And here's what it meant. It was a military term that meant when two people stand side by side, when they're fighting shoulder to shoulder, you fight side by side to protect the person next to you. Does anyone find that really interesting? I feel like that's pretty neat. Submit meant to protect the person next to you, to stand next in a battle, which is, if you read the rest of that chapter, what you'll find is it'll say, put on the full armor of God. It's talking about a military metaphor. When you go into battle, you fight next to each other if you're a Roman. And the Greeks as well. They fought side by side, and you protected the person next to you.
You just made me think about something we studied in our women's group, which was the creation of Adam and Eve and how that all took place. And Eve coming out of a very specific part of Adam. And we're like, why? Why would he choose a rib? And then we thought about it. We went, a rib is a very protective encasing for the heart of a man.
Okay.
And so if we look at it that way, it's not now and the side of it. So it's alongside, she is a protector of his heart.
Right. That's beautiful. Protector of the heart.
That changes the whole picture of.
Yeah, think about the Adam and Eve story in Genesis. First off, and also adding on to that, the word for rib, it didn't even actually mean rib. It meant half.
Wow.
So think about that, like half human, half divine. Just like Adam, who was made divine by the breath, right? Do you guys see like interesting stuff going on? But also think about this. They chose to not allow wisdom to steer their knowledge, and so certain things happen. So think about this, the curses. For man, if you continue down this road, you will have the temptation to find value in what you do. By your hands and your brow, you'll till the soil and it'll become a curse to you. And again, that would be a universal rule in our culture today for men and women. If you find your value in what you do, what happens when you lose the job? And what happens when you are unable to work, right? Well, I'm of no value, right? And now think of the woman. In your childbearing, you will have terrible, terrible pain, and the husband will rule over you. So think about this bigger metaphor. In some of your greatest moments of joy, if you don't allow wisdom to steer your knowledge, that joy is going to be torn from you. You will experience pain. Think about that. I got this new position. I got this thing going on. But if you continue making poor choices and doing the same thing over and over again, you will experience what? Pain. It'll be robbed from you. And then the husband will rule over you. So this is basic observation. This is a result of poor judgment, not a direction we're to be headed.
Tony,
Right?
could you show the previous quote again in Ephesians?
Yeah, let me, and I'll get to the head in a minute.
So I was just going to say, because if you think about everything that's in the Bible and everything about Christ didn't act like he was better than the church. No. Like, I'm the church and everything else is secondary.
So he said, you are.
It fits exactly with the definition.
Yeah.
He is the head. Well, the side-by-side aspect of it, he wouldn't, from everything you can perceive from that he would be synonymous with it, not better than it.
Right, exactly. Not over it, hoarding power over.
Right.
And this is why I would shift. If I had my own translation, I would write it like this: wives, go into battle with your husbands. Partners, go into battle with your partner. Right? Even better, American version like that. Go to battle with each other. Right? Ugh, that's heavy. It's beautiful. That's what, when I think of the NBA, I think of when these guys are standing side by side and they're about to go to battle. You see them standing next to each other. You saw this with women in the FIFA World Cup, right? You saw all these pictures of them side by side getting ready to battle, right? It wasn't, oh, well, she's just going to do her own thing. She's just going to do her own thing. It was, we're side by side. We're going into this thing together. We're a team. We're partners in this game. We're gonna go in this together. Of course, if you're a superhero, you need friends, right? The Avengers couldn't just be the Avengers with just Tony Stark. You have to have friends. And what do they do over and over again? They protect each other, right? It's what we do. The idea here behind this often misused quote is that we stand side by side and we build and we grow. And that's the concept there.
What would have happened if that would have been the response to the person with the Satan umbrella tree? Would they just be the ideological rejection, your interpretation is sin and you don't know what you're talking about?
I think sometimes in the case of this person, if I had said any of this to them, I would not have been given the space to share this.
Right.
That's just where it is. And that's where I come back to Kill a Mockingbird. The whole novel, what you see is the family at first, they start out kind of, and if you read this, if you take time to read it, and as we watch it today, you're going to notice they all kind of do their own separate things, the family members. Jem does his thing. He's worried about his own world. Scout's worried about her own world. Atticus is kind of in his own thing, and everyone's kind of separate. But what happens is conflicts happen, certain injustices happen to the town in which they live, and what they learn to do is they learn to shoulder side by side. And what happens in that is they create something beautiful. When you stand side by side with people, you can carry that love, that unity everywhere you go. And that's what Scout and Jem, Atticus, that's what the whole town learns, is wherever you go, you carry that unity, that love, that compassion. You learn to shoulder with the people around you, which I think is so beautiful. And so I wanted to share with you, there's this Bible verse that often people will read, and they don't pick up the real brilliance of it. Because during Jesus' time, there was a quote that was very common. It went like this: where two Greeks are gathered, 3 different opinions will reside. because it was very Greek. It was very normal to argue and to always take a different perspective, even if you don't believe the one you have. And that's where we get the concept of devil's advocate. I'm going to take the different perspective. So really, two Greeks, you could potentially have 5 different opinions. And they would potentially fight tooth and nail for an opinion they didn't really even believe. That was a very common thing. They would do this in the arenas sometimes and just argue and have debates. And this is why this quote, I think, is so interesting. Where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I will be with them. What's the difference between the 2 quotes?
Division and unity.
Division versus unity.
For me, they're the same, but one is a living spiritual entity coming and living amongst them, perhaps wisdom, versus the other one is maybe their ideas have formed a third idea.
Okay. Good.
One encourages unity.
Okay, one encourages unity. Wherever 2 or 3 are gathered together, there in that place, the divine is happening. And the divine brings unity and oneness. Now, the 2 or 3 may not completely agree on something, but knowing at the heart of it, this is a divine thing. It's pretty beautiful. And that's what I love about the shift here. What was that?
Words versus actions.
Words versus actions. Okay, nice. Let's look at this word head now. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church. He is the Savior of the body. What about this word head? Here's something I found really interesting. The word head doesn't mean like I'm above you. They have a word for that in the Greek, and it's not kephele. The word kephele means the source behind the thing. So think about this. Men in this verse are there to support, be the source of power behind the woman. Did you just catch the word behind? Isn't that interesting? You don't hear that very often when you go to churches, but yeah, in this case, when he's talking about these roles, because in the first century, they still had certain roles, obviously, but he's not saying head over, like power over. He's saying you are to be the power, the force behind your partner. Can you imagine when 2 people partner together? I'm going to be I'm going to be a force and a power that's going to help you steer whichever direction you're going. You want to start that small business? I'm going to empower you too. I'm going to help you in any way I can. You want to be a stay-at-home mom? I'm going to empower you and do everything I can. I'm going to try to do dishes. I'm going to try to hold Brooklyn when she's crying at night. I'm going to try to give you maybe an hour of sleep. Whatever the thing is, I'm going to be a source of power. And what if both played that role? Right? We're in 2019 now. What if both partners played that role now?
They'd be unstoppable.
Right? You would be this military force, right? And I'm talking like first century now. You would be an unstoppable force in a battle. Is anyone else finding this really interesting? I think this is fantastic. When I heard all of this, it started to bring me back to this idea that everywhere we go, we carry this thing with us. This power, this energy, and every opportunity we have to lift people up, to be a force behind them, to help them be the very best person they can be. And we don't just do that in romantic relationships, we do it with every person we connect with. Every time we have an opportunity to be a force or a positive connection to God, we move that energy forward and we help people grow. And then we shoulder next to them, we lean in and we find ways to continue to help move, right? We continue to help people grow, to face obstacles and pain and brokenness, but we do it together. And we find ways to do this. And this is what I really like. There's a story. Oh, little African children. Yeah. These children, there was an anthropologist that visited, and I found this story really interesting. This anthropologist visited this tribe in Africa, and I don't know if it happened for sure or not. I just thought, what a cool story. So you can like Snopes it all you want, and if you say it didn't happen, I don't care. I'm going to share the story. It's a beautiful metaphor. The anthropologist apparently went to this village, and he was playing with the children for quite a while, and then he had a bunch of fruit that he had picked earlier that day, and he took the fruit and he put it by a tree, and then he went back to the kids. He said, "Oh, okay, kids, line up. Line up. We're going to have a race." So the first kid to get to the bucket filled with fruit gets all of the fruit. And the kids' eyes like widen, and they get prepped, and they're getting ready to run. He says, "On your mark, get set, go!" And the children grabbed hands, and they ran together to the bucket, and they made a circle around the bucket, and they started eating the fruit together. And the anthropologist says, "Oh, why'd you do that?" And they said, "Ubuntu." And the anthropologist says, "Huh?" He said, "Ubuntu. One of us should never benefit at the expense of others. We're going to share Ubuntu. I am because we are." He said, "Ubuntu. I am because we are." For the Hebrews, one of my favorite historians, he said the Hebrews were a nomadic people, and they carried their temples, their identity, everywhere they went. So this idea, when Jesus says, "You are the temple, you're where the divine happens," it wasn't a new idea. They'd been living this their whole lives. It was their history. Everywhere they went, Ubuntu happened. Yeah? Everywhere they went, I am because we are. I am, everywhere I am, everywhere there is life, we are. So I wanted to end with this. Ethos is Ubuntu. I am because we are. I am because we are. I am the strength. I'm connected to the force. And I'm going to shoulder to shoulder with the people around me. Beautiful? Oh, this was so fun. Okay. Pam's going to come up, and we're going to do a donation appeal, and then we're going to have Betty and Ted come up and do music.
It is such an honor and a privilege to be here, to be a part of this group. I remember the very first day that I came in here, I sensed something really special. I said, wow, these people have really been through something. It was the whole room that gave me that feeling. And you know, when you've been through something really difficult, and you find someone else who's been through something really difficult, and they can feel you, they can get you. Oh, this is Taika, by the way. When you feel like you've been through something difficult, and you can link arms with others who have been through something difficult as well, there's no other way to get really satiated and feel good that you're understood and that you're going to be okay and there is hope. And so I want to thank you all, everyone here and everyone at home listening and watching, for everything you've done to bring Ethos to the place that it currently is today. Everyone who's done all the little things that is thankless behind the scenes, the amazing music that we get, the talent, the skills, anything you can donate of your time. Who's caring for the kids right now? It's amazing how we all work together. And I want to thank you. You can donate online at ethos-church.org/donate. And I love to donate here because I want this to keep going. I want to link arms with all of you and keep this going. All right? Can we welcome Betty and Ted? Thank you.
I say something first?
Of course.
Wouldn't be the first time. It's an adventure when you tell us what the theme is going to be, because then I get to go look for songs and stuff that fit. And sometimes I'll find stuff like that Marvin Gaye tune that as soon as I saw it, I said, oh, this is going to fit. I know this song. I love this song. But I did a Google search on some keywords on what you had to say, and this particular tune came up, and I'd never heard it before Wednesday this week. But I listened to it, and it touched me. It said something to me, and I love this story of the prodigal son because it's an illustration of the word grace. And there's a line in here in the bridge that says, "You got a little place for me, a little grace for me." And I love the word grace. I love words. It's you and I share that. The word grace, the Webster's definition of the word grace is unearned and undeserved divine aid given humans for their spiritual regeneration or sanctification. And I live that. I live that every day. I can choose to live in grace of a higher power, not because I did the right thing or I was good to somebody or I have the best heart, because I fall short all the time. And I still have this grace that's available to me every single day. And that story of the prodigal son, the son that left the family and did wrong, and he came back and he was expecting to be put to work in the fields and living with the pigs. And this power greater than him said, "No, come in here. I'm so glad you're here." And that grace is still available to me every day. Father, meet me with your arms wide open. The world's unbroken. Your prodigal son. Down that road I've traveled, everything raveled, only came undone. Father, lead me down to the river. Wash me in the water till I'm whiter than snow. I know that I am not worthy, to tell me there's mercy for the wandering soul. I lost my way, but now I'm on my knees. Tell if it's not too late, won't you tell me please? You got a place for me, a little grace for me. Father, meet me in the cool green valley in all of your glory. When my days are done, name me as one of your chosen, heaven's unbroken prodigal son. Father, meet me with your arms wide open. Lead me down to the river. Meet me in the cool green valley. Name me as one of your chosen, the heaven's unbroken prodigal son.
Tony, I gotta hand it to you with the history and the things that you marry as far as words and concepts. And pretty much the number one word that I come up with when I hear this whole getting behind someone and empowering them is just ultimate selflessness, and that is Christ. It's so easy though, it's just so simple, and we complicate so much because of our own ideas or our own selfishness or ambitions, and it's really never about us, but who we are, I think, is represented in the ones that we touch. And so, yeah, thank you for everyone that's my friend and that loves me, and I love you guys so much. And this next song, we've done it once before, but it's Stand By Me, and these words just resonate for me as far as just being at peace and knowing you got my back, because I got your back.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, no, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
If the sky we look upon should tumble and fall, all the mountains crumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me.
So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
Darling, stand by me.
Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. So darling, darling, stand all by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
Thank you, guys.
So we will have our movie showing in a little bit. I think we're gonna have maybe 10, 15 minutes or so just to relax, talk with people around us. And then after that, Oh, at 1. Okay, got it. Oh, we have a whole hour. Oh my goodness. Okay, I should have gone longer, huh? So we have an hour just to relax and hang out with everybody. If you need to go do something and come back, we're going to try to do this thing at around 1. So do your thing. If not, your thing is here. Relax with us. We're going to watch the movie and have really great tacos catered in a minute. $10. Yep, $10. All you can eat. What you don't eat goes into my belly to grow my muffin top. Let me just do a quick prayer. We're so thankful to be together. We're so thankful that, God, you continue to reside in each of us. That that love, that power, we're made, maybe, I don't know if the word made still fits for me, but we shoulder to shoulder in the pain and the brokenness. We weren't meant to walk it alone. That power that's behind us, you push us forward in everything we experience, and we are so thankful for that. In your name we pray, amen. Everybody, love you, and yeah, we've got about 40, 50 minutes, so yeah.